to do an introduction in Portuguese? Anything? Well, I can't, but does anybody want to? Yeah. You have beautiful hair, so no worries. It's more like I look like I'm at a press conference.
Olá, tudo bem? Bom dia a todos que estão ao vivo com a gente no YouTube. Meu nome é Ian, atualmente sou secretário do capítulo da SPLFRJ. Deixa eu me arrumar um pouquinho na cadeira, que um auditório desse a gente fica, fica um pouco perdido. A gente está aqui hoje no CT para poder fazer uma palestra com a grande Caroline. Ela é da Especiação Holanda, então a gente está aqui hoje com essa palestra internacional e a gente espera que todo mundo goste, todo mundo consiga aproveitar, treinar o inglês, que é mais importante acima de tudo. E vamos lá, queria fazer essa introdução rápida, mas não quero cortar o tempo da Caroline. So Caroline, please, would you be so kind to start the presentation?
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I haven't done this. It feels, for everybody who's watching from the outside, it feels like being at a press conference. I have a screen over there where I'm looking at what you guys are seeing. This is my first press conference. You will see later, I've been on the road or on the water for quite some time, since August actually, and that's why I didn't actually do a proper normal presentation, so you're getting a little mixture. I know that I was given 2 hours, we can expand it, we can shorten it, whatever. Somebody is watching the feed, so that if you have any questions, just jump in, and at any time just give them back to me. I'm flexible. One more, Louise, who has been contacting me and fooled me completely with very good English from actually the translate function. That's why we were like, maybe we should do it so that we have captions. So hopefully for you guys who don't understand English, I will try to talk slower. I know I talk very fast, sorry. So if you notice it, just tell me. And hopefully you have captions in the bottom that are being translated. Fingers crossed. YouTube has it, so hopefully that's working. Very good. They are checking on at the same time. Very sophisticated. Okay. So why am I here? And that's why I'm sharing the slide here. It's a good mix of who I am. So I'm half French, half German. I grew up in Germany. However, my German dad was mostly on the rigs, either in Africa, somewhere offshore, or in the North Sea. And my French mum was at home with me and my sister. So we obviously grew up more French way. I finished school and then went to university to study originally mining engineering with the focus on drilling engineering, petroleum engineering. So we did a little bit of everything at the Technical University Mining Academy of Freiberg in this former east, close to Dresden of Germany. And there I finished 2015. During my university I did plenty of internships in different mining companies and also in the oil and gas business, because originally they didn't quite know what to do with students in oil and gas, and you're too young or you're a woman or whatever. They always had excuses. And that's why I also did internships in mining. So that's why if you have any opportunity, just see it so that you can say, I've done it, this is not what I want to do. So I didn't want to work underground. It was fun, but people also didn't want me there. So yeah, I finished university 2015. Obviously, you guys won't remember, hopefully, but there was a downturn, no jobs whatsoever. At university, this is where I got to know SBE. So I joined SBE in 2009, which is a long time ago. actually focused my diploma thesis on health and safety, on risk assessment for drilling and workover processes. And this is what was allowing me to find a job after that. So I found a graduate program with, I have to think, they had just renamed themselves to NG, ENP Germany, which before that was GDF Suez or Gaz de France. And I'd done an internship with them before, so that when I saw one of the guys who used to be my mentor, if you want, doing the internship, he was now the drilling manager. So I'm at a conference and I was saying, hey, I'm looking for a job, and told him about what I was doing, health and safety and drilling. He was like, oh, that's exactly what we need. And that's how I got the job. So that was the first 2 years I was drilling engineer, but focusing on health and safety in Germany. And then the company was being sold, so of course every company wants to reduce the amount of people that they're selling onwards. So that's why, since I had a limited contract, I couldn't keep the job. And I said, okay, well, as soon as I find something, I'll go somewhere else. And that's where I went to Schlumberger. I think you all know Schlumberger? Or Schlumberger, yeah. As a wireline field engineer. So I had done an internship in wireline before in Poland with Schlumberger. That's why they knew me. Obviously, I had to re-interview and everything, but I ended up being based in IJmuiden in Holland and was covering jobs all over Europe. And then it was good. It was fun. It was hard work, that's for sure. I loved being on the rigs, onshore, offshore, wherever, but I wanted rotation, and that was very important for me to have rotation so that I can also have a life outside, organize something, travel, whatever. I mean, I was traveling, but I wasn't seeing it. And that's why I thought maybe health and safety would be able to give me a job offshore on rotation, and then I would be able to live the life that I actually wanted to. So I quit Schlumberger, went to live with my sister in the UK in her family. At the time, my nephew was 2.5, so I could help out with him as well. I did my health and safety qualification, and then was looking for a job. Was able to find one in Great Yarmouth as a health and safety advisor. It's on the east coast of the UK, in Norfolk. I'd never been there before. If you Google it, nothing good comes out. And I said that to the guys when I went for the interview. I'm like, are you sure you want to send me there? But I saw the opportunity. It's close to the water, and I could go sailing after work. That's what I wanted. It would have been international. It would have been a small company, tiny compared to Schlumberger. But it was my first health and safety role, so that was good. However, then something happened. Something that involved a lot of face masks. COVID. First I was put on furlough, and then I lost the job. They had to let me go because the company reduced hugely in size because they obviously, due to the negative oil price again, well, not again, for the first time negative, they had to get rid of all the people that they could simply to stay alive. Now they're thriving again, they've employed loads of people, etc. So luckily I had interviewed before with another company, which is actually now my employer. So I contacted the recruiter that was in touch with me before, saying, hey, I'm back on the market if you're looking for somebody. And they were still looking for somebody. So there comes in where it's important if you speak another language. I mean, you always speak another language than English. Portuguese, that's great. It was the French for me that allowed me to find another job. And this was now as a health and safety advisor for Boskalis on rotation in France on projects. It wasn't offshore, but at least it was working with people from offshore, with people from vessels, which for me is important because they have a different attitude. And yeah. The picture that you're currently seeing, or you will be seeing shortly when he demonstratively shows and points. I don't know, he's currently being distracted. Anyway, the picture that you will eventually see, or that you saw before, kind of shows the stuff that I've done with SPE or with other organizations. So I'm also active with IOSH, which is the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. SPE, I've been in the German section, I keep on traveling. Every year I'm in a different section. And currently I'm still active with the Human Factors Technical section. So that's now international, and that's where I also got to meet my host, and I currently have his family here. So first row, that's my new host family, yay. So yeah, SPE connects, and that's why I thought, okay, we had done an article in the Way Ahead about my sailing adventure. How about I bring a little bit of feedback from me and obviously from the sailing adventure back to you guys, because this is for young professional. I'm officially now no longer a young professional. I'm just a professional. But hey, it happens. Huh? Okay. Let me just check my notes. I have lots of props on the table, which I will show just to remind everybody. So I said who I am, why I became a petroleum engineer. I think I made that clear. I wanted to work on rotation and with people who are internationally minded, who have that one goal approach, especially when you're out on the rigs. Have you done any internships on the rigs? No, not yet. When you're there, you notice it doesn't matter who you work for and what you're there to do. Everybody has that one goal to find the oil or the gas, whatever. And we all work together. And it doesn't matter what your background is, if you're a chemical engineer, if you're a petroleum engineer, as long as you can do your job and you are accountable for what you're doing or what you're there for, you're golden. So that's why I went into oil and gas. Yeah, in SPE, just to wrap up what I took as my notes, in SPE, I've, as I said, I was in the student chapter, then transitioned over to the German section, was there as the YP chair for a long time, well, a long time, until I went to Schlumberger. And then took on different roles and I'm in different committees or judging for the awards, for the regional or for the international awards. So all those things are great opportunities for you to learn something that you wouldn't have in your normal curriculum. And it just exposes you as well to lots of great people that you wouldn't otherwise meet. And you get to see how other people work, and all with the same attitude. It's not because they're paid to be there; they chose to be there because they're volunteers, and that's a great aspect of it. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I covered everything that I wanted in my introduction. So I'm going to now show you the presentation that I did up front. So this is the actual PowerPoint presentation. I haven't modified it much, or nothing really. There's my mouse. There we go. So I'm going to now show you the presentation that I did up front. So this simply to explain to you a little bit more about what I did. Now I can say past tense, finally. So there we go. Caroline, that's me, in case you hadn't heard. On the Big Blue Boat, you will find out who or what the Big Blue Boat is. Obviously today in Rio, which is quite fancy. And apparently on YouTube. Goodness. There we go. So how did I get here physically? I got here in the most uncomfortable way, and I guess the most expensive way to find your way to South America. I came by boat. So for those who, well, you can see the boat behind me. But yeah, I came by boat, I sailed, I left Portsmouth in the UK, September 3rd. That's when I left. Then I had a stopover in Spain, in Puerto Sherry, which was from September 11th to 15th. I left Portsmouth in the UK. That can't be right. September 3rd. I think it was more. Anyway, no, it should be. And then from Puerto Sherry in Spain, we sailed all the way down to Uruguay, Punta del Este. Since then, so that I arrived there on October 14th, which is now, what, 3 weeks ago? Since then, I've actually done a little tour in Brazil. So I've been to Iguazu before the water smashed away the bridges. I walked on it the only day that the Argentinian side was open. And then we went up to the Amazon, where there's currently no water. So just to say, Brazil, water management, maybe you can do something about it, or climate change. And now since, what, 3 or 4 days, I'm in Rio. And I hope to see a little bit more. I still need to go up to the Christ, but I've been already on the Sugarloaf. I've been there yesterday, I think. No, the day before, and Copacabana, and Ipanema. So yeah, so that's how I got here. Now, why did I go on a boat? on the Sugarloaf. I've been a sailor since I was little. So Optimist is the smallest boat that you can kind of have in Europe. Most kids start sailing on it. Optimist is the one with the green sail. I've been to find my mouse. There we go. There, the green sail. That little orange dot, that's me. This is my sister. So my sister had done sailing at school, and that kind of was what got me into it. I always dressed up. We have carnival, but we don't dress up nice and fancy with big, whatever, you look like birds. I dressed up like a mariner, like a captain or a sailor. Or Pippi Langstrumpf. Do you know Pippi Langstrumpf? Pippi Longstocking. Really, really strong girl, red hair, with two hairs, braids that stand out like this, and she can lift a horse. No, it's a girl. It's a girl. It's a girl from where? Scandinavia, I think. Sweden. Not sure. Look it up. Pippi Longstocking. Very, very important. It's obviously a child thing, but yeah. So one summer, that was 1997. That's where we actually went for the first time for me sailing. And just here on the background, in case you're not too familiar with, where's my mouse? Sorry, I'm switching. There we go. This is Europe, or part of Europe. This here is France. This is where we are in France. So as I said, I'm half French. And the other grey dot is where I would have been in Germany. As you can see in Germany, where I grew up, no water around. So not a lot of sailing going on, unless you have a tiny little lake, which we had. So that was good. But so the first sailing experience for me was on an Optimist, and then a week later, they told us, yeah, no, you have to go on a bigger boat, you're too tall. Because in France, everybody has started much younger, or was a lot smaller than us. My mum at the time had told them the first week when she sent us there, whatever you do, just don't put the sisters together, because they keep on fighting. What did they do? Second week, it was the two of us. But we survived. We're good friends now. After that, I continued sailing. I continued sailing throughout school, etc. And then at the end, when I did my A-levels, I did all of my licenses so that I could do it still at a student price. And they don't have a limit of how long they're valid. And this way I have all of my licenses for coastal waters, not for anything else. But yeah, so I did my licenses for sailing. This is where I've lived all over the place. This is where I went to uni. This was my first job. And then my second job. This is the one where I went in the UK, Great Yarmouth, which is great because at least in the pandemic, the club that I was able to join, they had a lot of lasers, which is single-handed. And in the UK, you weren't allowed to mix households. So I had to sail alone. So that was good. And now I live officially in Birmingham. Sorry, not Birmingham, in Coventry, near Birmingham, with my sister and her family, because being on rotation, I don't need a home. So I don't need to pay rent for a place that I'm hardly ever there, because I travel usually during my leave. So at the moment, I'm actually taking all of my leave that I've accumulated over the last few years, and that's why I'm able to take 3 months off, which is quite nice. That's why, go rotation. Okay, so it was New Year's Day, 2021. I was on Facebook and I was scrolling, as everybody else would do. And the year before, one of my resolutions, do you guys do that in Brazil? Yeah. Yes, okay. So one of my resolutions was to create more sailing opportunities, because I realized I was missing my sailing, and sailing is good for you. It's good for your body, you get fit, but it's also very good for relaxation. I have a t-shirt that says, I don't need therapy, I just need to go sailing. So that's why I was like, okay, and clearly I think I've looked at a few things, or I joined a few groups, so that eventually this came up. And I'm like, ooh. So now I'm not too sure if this is going to play with sound. Let me just try it. No sound in the room. I'll just get out of the presentation. Check if my computer sound is on. Let's try again. because this is a so quite impressive, huh? And it says anyone can do it. Join. You don't need any experience. And I'm like, ooh, I had some experience, but I'm like, ooh, I can do this too. Volvo Ocean Race, for example, or now I think it's called just the Ocean Race. There we go. You need to be a professional sailor. You need to be Olympian, whatever. I'm not going to be that. I only do that when I have leave. So I'm like, okay. But then I saw this, and I'm like, ooh. So they're very good in marketing, very good. Because you go to the website, and you find some information, and you click, and you read one, and you click, and you click, and you click, and you're like, ooh. So within 3 hours, I'd made my decision. I clicked all through. I did wait to sign up until there was a webinar the week later, but basically I made the decision within 3 hours. No risk, no fun, no? Or is it calculated? For me, it was calculated. Let's see if I can click here. Up. There we go. So I found out that the entire race is around the world. Don't have time. 11 months? No, I don't want to have another break. I had enough job changes, etc. I'm like, no. But how about just doing one leg? So I looked at the different legs, what they said, and how extreme it would be. Currently, I can say from being on leg 1, everything that was planned, not happening. Climate change is completely messing the weather systems. Nothing is as planned. Everything, expect the unexpected. That's the only thing. The change is constant. Weather reports or weather forecasts, useless, because everything is different. So I decided for me, because my family is in the UK, maybe it would be good if I do leg 1 or leg 8, going from the UK or to the UK. This way my family can come visit and see me off or say hello. It didn't feel right to me to just do leg 8 because A, it's shorter, but also B, it's like if you were imagining you're on the winning team, I wouldn't feel like, yeah, I did it, because no, I just hopped on for the last little bit. Whereas leg 1, now I've done my part. I still continue doing stuff, but at least I know I've been part of it, and everybody else has to now take on the baton if you want. So that's why I chose to do leg 1. Currently the first boat has arrived today at UNICEF. Our boat is expected to be there tomorrow. I will show you in a bit the live tracker, but yeah. Now, how did this actually come together? Luckily, there was a guy called, or is a guy, Sir Robert Knox Johnson. He was the first one to circumnavigate the globe. That was in the 60s, I want to say. I don't have my cheat sheet. But yeah, you can look it up. So Sir Robert Knox Johnson, who is this guy. There's my mouse. This guy. He is actually 88, 80-something. He is still around. He's no longer the official director of the company. He has given that up, I think, last year or this year. But he's still around. He still comes to visit the boats or keeps in touch, etc. He has this boat, Suaheli, is still in the UK, and that's the tiny little boat that he went alone around the world, non-stop. And this is a video just to give you an impression. That's his voice.
The ocean is a remote wilderness. Everyday normality fades. We're at the mercy of the elements, and mental fortitude is tested as much as physical strength. Humankind has always looked to explore and push its boundaries. We are restless. We are curious. It is that which has led the Clipper race to help thousands of people step out yes, basically, all walks of life have the same purpose. Saying yes to discovering personal frontiers and achieving something extraordinary. The ocean is their wasteland. Those who have the courage to cross an ocean, under sail, unseen the power of the wind, can call themselves true adventurers. But the ocean will do its best to show your insignificance amongst its might. You will experience Mother Nature in the war and feel the earth. Majestic white horses crash towards you, the thunder of their hooves pummeling the deck. Yet the ocean, its backdrop, will reward as much as it does challenge. Space from natural world, edge into the soul, even the most weary sailor. For your homecoming, land's earthly sense stretches its tendrils before it comes into sight. The coastline beckons, a unique emotion descends. Joy, pride, a sense of togetherness that is gratifying. The ocean awaits anyone who dares to push themselves to their absolute limit. This is the race of your life.
Yeah, when there are a few more slides and videos, so it should be about 20 more minutes at least, I think. He has a great voice, though. It's like documentary voice. It's very nice. It's his real voice. Yeah, there are loads of videos. So what I'm going to do and what we just discussed, we will take a comfort break because that's important. I can tell you, you don't get comfort breaks on the boat. Every time you want to, oh, we're doing this, or we're doing that. It's like, oh, come on. I just want to drink a tea or eat or whatever, digest. But no, we will do a comfort break. I'm not going to show you that many videos or the official videos of this race, simply because you can go on YouTube yourself. You don't need me to play a YouTube video. Now you know kind of what you're looking for if you're interested. What I will do is I will continue with this presentation, which I did up front, give you a bit the details of the boat, etc. And then we will do the break, whenever that is, and then we come back. And then I'll give you actual footage that I shot or other people shot on the boat, which is something that you won't find. Well, some you will find online because we have a website. But yeah, and I will talk about all the stuff that's here on the table, simply because it's quite interesting to see all the facets, and that's where we come into the transferable skills. Okay? Again, if there are any questions, do not hesitate. Okay, where's my mouse? I think this is the sentence I always speak the most. Yellow. Yellow is good. So, like I said, I chose the leg because it was a one-way trip. I'd never been before now. I'd never been to South America. So I thought, this way I can get, it's not, as I said, it's not recommended as a cheap way to do it, not at all. But, like I said, I can tour South America afterwards, and that's what I'm currently doing. So after Rio, I will actually continue to Argentina. I will visit Buenos Aires, Ushuaia, and El Calafate. Yeah, big eyes here in the auditorium. I asked people, like, what do you recommend what I do? And that's what they told me, so why not? International crew, so we are normal people who signed up for this. Some people have absolutely zero experience sailing, have never been on a boat before, and want some experience, want a challenge, want to show that they are still fit or that they crossed an ocean or whatever. And some people just, like me, like a vacation. But theoretically, you have like-minded people because we're all from the same aspect. We all paid for it, so we wanted to be there. Not too sure if everybody actually wants to be there after a few days. We get fully trained, so we all have the same training. We have 4 weeks of training. It's 4 modules of a week about, which is very tough training. However, in the training, we do drills, non-stop. We do all the evolutions non-stop. That's why we have little wet notes. Wet notes because they can become wet. It's no problem because obviously everything on the boat becomes wet. Where everything is drilled down. So just as if you were working, you would have your procedure. We follow that procedure to the letter so that everybody, it doesn't matter what boat you're on, you always have the same way of doing it. So that it's repeatable and you can trust each other. One of the boats, the skipper, for example, he had an injury, so he was out of commission the last 2 weeks, I think, coming into Punta del Este. He had to go off the boat now in Punta. So another previous skipper, actually the race director, he now went on as a skipper, but he needs to be able to know that everybody knows exactly what he's talking about. Everybody is doing it the same way. Also, so that because the teams are changing, so some people are doing the entire race, the 11 months. So we had originally, I think, 8 people doing around the world. One unfortunately got medical condition, so currently he's out. So he will rejoin later. But yeah, so 7 people plus the skipper and the AQP are going around the world. All the other legs are people like me who are doing 1 leg, or some people are doing 1 or 2 legs, or 3 legs, or 4 legs, whatever. Some are doing 1 leg here, another leg there. You need to be able to know every time you have a new group together, everybody is going to do it the same way. A little bit different, but the same way in basic. And that's why it's also the same as when we look at our jobs. You prepare, you actually do the operation, and then you do the evolution itself of whatever you want to do. So be that hoisting a sail, or changing, or jibing, or whatever. And then nice thing as well, just again, as at work, so I'm introducing all the transferable skills. The last part is, so it's a cleanup, etc. It's putting everything back into place, putting your well control back into place, and then tidy up, housekeeping, very important. On a boat, if the stuff is not where it should be, it's all over. So you need to tidy it up because you never know what happens next. Just as in oil and gas, you never know what's coming. So yeah, these are wet notes. Obviously, if you want, you can pass those around. That's a cheat sheet, basically. You can use it later as well, but you should be, I think, fluent more or less in the evolutions within level 3. That's when you're expected to. So like I said, I'm Team UNICEF, or I became Team UNICEF. We're 1 out of 11 boats. So there are 10 other boats doing exactly the same as what we're doing. And therefore, we not just support each other, but we also carry spare parts for the fleet. So that if one boat, it's highly unlikely that all 11 boats will have the same issue at the same time or on the same leg, but you might have one boat that needs, we, for example, needed the water maker pump because that one was broken. Another boat needed, trying to think what they had. Well, we needed different parts, and then we meet up with other boats and we transfer equipment. And you also have the shore support, just again, as we do when we work offshore. We have the whole back office in the office, people who are working around the clock, who are supporting the vessels, who are in communication, and who have all the means to get additional help from outside. And that's why I thought this is quite nice. In addition, it's also about visibility, credibility, as I am still and will be still a woman working in the oil and gas or now maritime sector. It's not that many of us, so some people doubt whether or not I should be there. This way, it's there, it's known, people know what I've done, and nice thing is you get nice pictures too because they have drones and cameras and whatever always. We didn't have an onboard reporter, but at some point there will be an onboard reporter on our boat as well. So leg 1, at the time when I made this slide, I didn't actually know where we were going, that we were going to the Bay of Cadiz, Puerto Sherry. So we started September 3rd, as I said, on a Sunday in Portsmouth. Then we went to Spain. That took about a week via the Bay of Biscay. And then we arrived in Punta del Este arrival window, because it always gives you a window where we ideally arrive. We were 14th. Originally, we would have arrived on the 12th, but then there was no wind. We couldn't get forward. Yeah, I talked about the training. I'm just going to get to the training just because this is a nice video.
The training program is essentially broken down into 4 separate parts. So you have level 1 training is introducing everybody to the basic concepts they need to understand to operate one of these boats in an offshore environment. It's quite an intense week. We've got to introduce all the basics in the space of 6 days on the water. So there's a lot of information to take on board. People can sometimes find themselves getting slightly overwhelmed with the amount of information that we put forward. But the important thing for the crew to remember at that stage is that every successive level of training is really consolidating and slightly building on that very first week of training. We do have some crew with a lot more experience, but actually, generally it's the crew who have very little experience that find it a little bit easier to adapt to our methods of operating the boat. When they come back to their second week of training, we put them through a 1-day industry standard RYA offshore sea survival course. When they finish that, they come back for their practical and training, the on-water side of the training, which involves them going out sailing for about 5 days on the water. And the objective on level 2 is really just consolidating everything they've learned on level 1, but in an offshore environment. So the boat doesn't stop in the evenings, they're sailing in watch rotors, and it's really introducing the concept that sailing the boat is only really 50% of what life on board is about. The other 50% is about trying to sleep while the boat's pitching and rolling, making sure they manage clothing properly, cooking meals, keeping the boat clean, making any running repairs that need doing. So level 1 and 2 go nicely hand in hand. Level 3 is really a case of introducing to the crew. This isn't just a cruise around the world, this is a race. And how can we make the boat go faster? How can we build on team performance and team dynamics? We also introduced the spinnaker at that stage. They may have seen it once or twice in training before, but there's very heavy spinnaker focus. And the final level of training is once the crew have been allocated to their individual teams and have been allocated a skipper, we get pretty much all boats out on the water. And there's several days of going through emergency procedures and drills such as towing, fire, flooding, casualty evacuation, things like that. And then the final stage of that is normally a sort of 48-hour race around the English Channel, where the teams can really start to pit themselves against each other. It's the first opportunity they have to sail on their boat with their skipper, with their teammates. We have a lot of teaching aids such as things called the wet notes, which stipulates step by step every single step in an evolution of a process to change a sail, whether it's make a sail bigger or smaller or something like that. We also ensure that all the instructors that we use are highly experienced instructors, mostly yachtmaster instructors. They come from a very strong sail training background. And what's really important is they're able to adapt their teaching style to suit the individual's learning needs. The other thing that we do is we always have at least 2, sometimes 3 instructors on the boat as well. The crew don't move on to their next level of training until they're satisfied that they've got to the required level to move forward. So there are occasions we often have maybe every couple of courses there'll be a person that needs to go back and repeat that course. And we won't move people on to their next level of training until we feel that they're safe. we're not trying to turn crew into yacht masters or be able to take charge of the vessel or anything like that. We're trying to turn them primarily into safe and efficient offshore race crew. One of the beautiful things about the race is we have such a disparate group of individuals all coming together and formulating into a hard-working, efficient, high-performing team. When you get that right as a race skipper, when the team get it right, and you can help to nurture and guide them to that place. It's one of the really things you can do with your life.
So especially the people who are flying into the UK for the training, they tend to do 2 levels of training, just one after the other, or all 4, which is quite a bit. I, on purpose, chose to do it individually because I was going home to the UK anyway. And this way I could spread it out during my leave. So every time I go on leave, I went for one, well, not every time, but very often. So I did all of my levels over the span of, I think, 2 years. And like he was saying, level 4 training we can actually only do after we find out what team we're on. So until May 20th, I had no idea who I was going to sail with, who my skipper was, who my AQP was. We didn't even know the pairings of skipper and AQP. So AQP stands for Additionally Qualified Person, and that should be on the next slide. There we go. So May 20th, we had a big event in Portsmouth. Out of the approximately 700 people who are joining the 11 boats over the duration of those 11 months, about 400, I think, showed up in Portsmouth. And it was a big event. We had all wristbands that would light up when our team is announced, and la la la, it's all fancy. Clearly, we paid a bit too much, but hey. It's nice. It's a one-time thing, for me at least. And yeah. So we then found out that Daniel, or Dan Bodie, who never seen before, was paired up together with Laura Hampton, also never seen before. And apparently that was our team. Those two are our skipper and AQP. So Dan, he actually was Team UNICEF on the last edition. He started out as a normal crew member, just like me. He was a watch leader. And then when the pandemic hit, the boats were stopped in the Philippines because they were meant to go to China, but obviously China, COVID, they were stopped. They couldn't go into China, so they were stopped in the Philippines. The boats stayed there for 2 years. In that time, or a year and a half, in that time, Dan actually went and got his yacht master and further qualifications so that he came back as an AQP on the same boat, because a few other people, obviously life changes, so some of the skippers left, etc. So he got, if you want, promoted. He actually now worked, instead of paying for it, he now worked on the boat as an AQP. So he did the second half of that, and then now he was like, okay, I'm ready to be a skipper. Obviously they all apply, they all have equally training and very, how do you say, tight specifications that they need to fit from how they are teaching, etc. Because you will have people who are 70 years old. You will have people who are directors of a company. And you will have students. You will have housewives who are like, oh, finally, the kids are out of the house. I want to do something for myself. Or you have all those kind of different people. You need to be able to make a team and make them work together and them follow your instructions. So just to have a little side note, Dan is 32 and Laura just now turned 23. So again, if you look at that, you need to be not just qualified, but you also need to have that personality to bring it down to anyone. It's the same way when we go out on the rigs or anywhere that we work, we will have all kinds of people. Some people with big, big, massive egos, and some who are super shy, and you need to bring them to the table as well, and you need to encourage them, etc. So it's a lot about team building. And so we were lucky. We had about 42 of our 65 crew members show up for the crew allocation, so that was really nice to get to know a lot of people, because some people I will never see again because they didn't do leg 1. And of course there were also people who I met only on leg 1 when we then were together on a boat, because they didn't come to this, or the team building weekend afterwards. So this is what Dan said before the race.
Here I am. It's been a long journey. Come on! So I ended up deciding to be skipper for the Cooper race after doing the races crew on the 2019-20 edition through the break of COVID, when I did my qualification and came back to the race as AQP and did the second half of the race as AQP on the same boat. And then from that I decided that I would like to do the whole circumnavigation as skipper and put my stamp on the race as well. I think the race is truly unique, and what makes it amazing is the people that do it. Everyone's got their own stories, and everyone's got their own reasons for doing the race, but it is really a good challenge for everyone, and as the others say, it's a race to life. There is something out there for everyone. I'd like my crew to have a fun experience. I think that's the key. Like, we all need to enjoy this. I think there will be some self-discovery from everyone. I think quite like a night at sea to kind of reflect on life. At the end of the day, we've all signed up for the Clipper race. It's not the Clipper cruise, so there is a big element of that to it, and I think that helps kind of focus people and enables more enjoyment out of it. We all like to have a bit of fun, and the competitive fun is part of that. So yeah, I think that is a big part, and gives us the drive to get off in the middle of the night when it's cold and wet and don't really want to be kind of leaving a bunk, and helps kind of give you that motivation to get up and push harder. It's a really exciting period coming up. We go out and we do some training courses, and then we have crew allocation, which is it's a big event on the calendar to find out who our crew is from the people that have been doing the courses and have signed up. And then from there we can kind of take ownership of our crew and put our spin on things and help ideally develop them into a slick team for race start. Yeah, it's a very intense period, but it's also very exciting. Here I am.
So at that time, he had no idea what team he was going to be. He also didn't find out about us until I think 2 days before crew allocation. So they were equally like, okay, this is what we're getting. Because you also can't change. Once you're allocated to a team, that's it. That's your team. Unless there are really, really big problems and they're, let's say, where you really can't change it in the way, and it's not just a preference, but it's a proper issue, then the race office will possibly change you, but otherwise no. So yeah, our team at the time, obviously this changes non-stop. So I was asked during level 4 training, Dan and Laura got to know me, I got to know them, and they were like, oh, you're very direct, but you're equally also very good at managing people and getting them to do stuff that they don't actually want to do. You would be perfect as team coordinator. I'm like, oh. Originally, I just wanted to go sailing, cross the Atlantic, go visit, and then be done with it. And I was like, yeah. But because they really enjoyed it and were like, it would be really good. Like, we've had a few people volunteer for this, but they don't really seem to fit, and it's not what we're looking for. Think about it. You don't have to say yes now, but it would be nice if you can think about it. I'm like, okay, well, I need to check with work, because obviously that also means more commitment. Being flexible different times, or being flexible sometimes also at work, etc. And then I talked to work, and work was like, go for it. It's a free training if you want. You get a lot of different experiences, etc., that you wouldn't have at work. Go for it. So at the moment I was working with the nautical department, which is basically the health and safety for all the vessels that we have in the dredging division of Boskalis. And my boss there was like, no, go for it. It's good. It's teaching, and etc. So, for example, I remember that I then reached out later to my crewing coordinators from the work, and I was like, oh, I've seen you. Yes, we do still use Excel sheets, but they work fine. I've seen a really good Excel sheet, and I'm like, can you give me a copy of that? Because I want to have that for my crew, because I have 65 people that I don't need to regulate the leave, because they basically have always leave. I need to regulate when they are. How many people do I have on board? How many people are sleeping on board? Because the thing is, yes, in theory, the boats, and I will get to that in a moment, The boats can fit 24 people. Practice, no. You cannot sleep 24 people at the same time because some of the beds are used by sails, food, toilet paper, spare parts, and then some for people. But yeah, so we became Team UNICEF. Youngest crew member, 26, oldest, 75. Originally there were 9, but then one dropped out, so 8 around the worlders. In total, we have 18 nationalities represented. I think we might have a new nationality, not too sure. And then originally it was 47 men and 18 women. Also, that has changed. I think we got 3 new female crew members for later legs, because me as team coordinator, I now always get the information about who's coming on or who's not joining, etc., etc. And then eventually we also became Team UNICEF. So every boat has a race partner or a team partner. And for the entire Clipper race, the chosen charity is UNICEF. And for that purpose, Clipper is basically donating the advertising space, etc., for UNICEF to raise even more awareness. And that's why there's one boat that is UNICEF. Because that has been, I think, the 3rd time that they've done this now. The previous race edition actually had the big blue boat, the big blue Clipper boat, and so they had Instagram, etc. So we took that over, and that's why it's Caroline on the big blue boat. I think I have one more slide I want to show here about the boat. I won't play this because, come on, you can watch that on YouTube. Yep. The boat. All of them are identical. They have been built for this race on purpose. It's 23 meters long. You guys do meters, right? Yes, just checking. You do meters, metric. Yes, you're not weirdos. Beam is the widest part of the boat. That's 5.65 meters. Draft, that's how deep the boat is, 3 meters. The mainsail area, 123 square meters when it's fully out. We can reduce that when we reef, so we make the sail smaller. Head sail area, I think this must be the biggest one, so that's Yankee 1, 168 square meters. Mast height, 29 meters above the waterline, no? Not from deck, but above the waterline. Displacement, so the weight, 31 tons. And then the bulk keel underneath is 12 tons. So basically we have, I'll show the picture. Well, here you see on the, where's my mouse? There. You see one of the rudders, so we have 2 wheels, and they have 2 rudders sticking in, so that because we're mainly, and I didn't know that because apparently my training weeks were not very much wind, so we were fairly flat or a little bit, where the race was basically the entire time at over 45 degrees, which is annoying. It's basically rock climbing non-stop. Whatever you want to do, you have to climb. You want to walk around, you have to climb. You want to go to the loo, where the loo, so toilet, does not move with the boat. It stays where it is, and therefore it's like this, and you have to manage to get your bum on it. Not easy at all. It's not relaxing whatsoever. Perfect. Don't want to show this. This is the bulb keel. Where's my mouse? Mouse. Sorry. There we go. This is the keel. And that is one of the safety factors. Even though you're heeling over, it's okay because you have 12 tons under the boat. And obviously we all did mechanics at some point, right? So we know the momentum, we know what it means. And that's the advantage of it. People who are not very good in physics or just don't understand how it works are a bit more scared, but I think everybody who has a mechanical or technical background will understand it's okay because we have the momentum, we have the counterweight. And everything is properly balanced out. The way that we trim the sails is you can feel on the rudder, it should be super nice and smooth. You can feel what you need to change because it's all just physics. Voilà. Don't play that. So yeah, after that I toured. Like I said, I already mentioned where I went. I'm going down to 0. Actually, I'm going minus because I hope this is not being watched at home. I'm going to surprise my nephew because I'm coming back on his birthday. He's going to turn 7, so he doesn't know that yet. I didn't mention this. I used to be an exchange student when I was in high school. So I went for 1 year to Canada. So I have loads of people that are actually from even Brazil, not Rio, but yeah. I also have my SPE mentor, who's originally from Brazil, from Rio, but now she has an assignment at the moment in Dubai. So we met in Dubai last year, so I was okay. Or this year? This year. But yeah, basically meeting different people. And I was hoping to visit some projects. We did have a nice interaction with UNICEF in Punta del Este. So the UNICEF director, I guess, came, and with him actually also the ambassador of the UK to Uruguay, which was quite fancy. I was like, ooh, VIP. And yeah, so I obviously now got tips. My travel plans are made, but yeah. And that's basically the wrap on this section. We can do the break now. And then when we come back, we will actually look at what really happened, because this was all done before the race. And then I will talk about why there's all this stuff on the plate. So how many minutes do we do break? 5 or 10? 10 minutes. So get your teas, coffees, toilet break. Enjoy the fact that you don't have to pump, that your toilet is not moving. Very important, I can tell you. That's fine.
Wow.
I will show that, and then
That's
then
a
that.
sheet and a half.
Yeah. There you go. Nobody can read that on that size. That's 11 months.
Okay.
Oops, on. Can't see anything there. We'll take that as a starting point.
That's all of it.
That's the entire race. That's the entire crew.
But that's just UNICEF crew.
Yeah, that's just UNICEF.
Oh, so
One
there's
of
like
these.
That's
10
just-
more of those.
Yes.
Yes, but they don't have it. I got. We have one lady who has done multiple editions,
Okay.
and she gave me a compliment that it had been never so well organized. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
thank
so
you.
you did this.
Yeah, that's the
Scratch.
no.
Oh,
I asked my crew coordinators. It's all about knowing who to ask, and ask. If you don't ask, you don't get.
How often do you have misunderstandings inside the crew? How often do
Yeah,
do
just for
people
the
dislike
overall-
each other? Or is
Plenty.
there fights? Maybe
Plenty.
someone gets a knife in someone's throat.
No. So we all carry knives. We all have to carry a knife for safety purposes. So if there was something, we can cut it loose or us loose. You sign a contract. You sign a proper crew contract when you sign up. So you also sign that you follow the standing orders of the captain. And of course also there are standing orders of the race. If there are any altercations between people, they both get expelled. So there are no fights. At least on our boat, it was very civil.
But
We had some people who disagreed definitely, and some people who didn't like each other, absolutely. We're all different in characters. You have people like me who are extremely direct, but you equally have people who do not like that directness at all, and therefore get upset. Or think something else when you're saying something. So we had a lot.
so fights happen quite often.
Fight happened, and what do you call it? Disappointment.
Oh, yes.
A lot of disappointment, and then frustration, not just with yourself but with others, because they don't get you, or they don't know, or they didn't think like you, etc., etc. So lots. It's just like at work.
Has it ever happened for someone to get pregnant during
Oh.
sailing like this?
Yes, it has.
Really?
There are clipper babies.
I mean, getting pregnant during the sailing, not before.
During, yes, couples have been formed.
Oh.
Some people got married
Oh, okay.
on previous editions. Yes.
All right. Didn't expect that.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it does definitely happen. It didn't happen on our boat.
And you told me that 3 people out of 20 are single, so all the rest of them
Mm.
are married or dating.
Theoretically, yes, but that doesn't hinder anyone, right?
It's
Yeah.
international law, so nobody cares.
Well, law or no law, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot happening behind the law.
Okay. And that when you're in the middle of the ocean, technically you're under international law.
Yes.
So if you do something you're not supposed to,
Yeah.
do you become a pirate?
No, we don't become a pirate, but we could be made liable, or the captain, the skipper, could be made liable. The skipper also has the right, because we asked that question, for example, can he officiate? Yes, he can officiate, and he also has the power to lock you up. If you were, for example, misbehaving, he can also lock you up, or she. We also have female skippers. Yeah. But you need to ask those questions when we actually are on the mic.
I don't know, I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did want to interrupt.
Oh, don't interrupt. So now there's no more presentation, which is perfect because then there is no interruption.
yes.
I have the videos, and yeah. When do we go back on? When are we?
Soon. We're gonna actually. Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah?
have to go back from here.
Perfect. Yeah, I made on purpose black. I need black. I need it dark.
Have a laser pointer if you want to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Obrigada. Think they have a different lecture in here? Could that be?
No, I don't know.
Come on in. We don't bite. We just ate. Do we need to change anything on the timing? They are fine. No, the screen is on purpose black. I need black at the moment.
Okay.
But if you can catch me,
Make sure he's matched. The wireless. I think it'll be better for you. Yeah.
okay. Let's see. Oh yes, very good. Oops, too loud. So I on purpose have a black screen, but hopefully I will get a video on me. Yes, so that's me here with the red light. So I switched off, for everybody who's not here, I switched off the entire lights, simply to demonstrate a little bit of what I have on the table. So for the people who are now watching from home or wherever you are, I'm the one with the red headlight. Red is the color that is better for you to actually keep your night vision. Obviously, you don't want to be looking at it directly, so I'm going to switch it off in a moment. But the thing is, you still can see stuff. Interestingly, so because we wanted to talk about what actually happened on the race now in this half, because we also need to take all the waste with us, because we just had a question in the break about what happens if you do something wrong. Can you be made liable? Absolutely. Can we put garbage overboard? Absolutely not. The only thing that we can put overboard, since we had a toilet break, we can talk about this, is toilet paper, which for you guys is totally normal, because for me it's not. So I normally put the toilet paper in the toilet and I flush it away. For you guys, it's totally normal to put it in a bin. That's something that we actually had to learn first. So toilet paper, obviously dissolvable, can be put overboard. It will disintegrate, but we need to make sure it's nice and, well, not clean, but that it's dissolvable. Everything else has to be kept inside the boat. So obviously, if you're a month or more than a month on the boat, you will accumulate a lot of waste. Obviously, we need to cook. Food needs to come from somewhere. You can't call a pizza delivery or whatever offshore. It doesn't exist. So you bring everything. Ideally, you bring it fresh. However, if you can't bring it fresh, you bring it in tins or cans. In order, again, to reduce the amount of waste, we took all the labels off, because they're going to fall off after being humid anyway. You know, when you want to get the label off, you put it in water. Well, basically, the boat is the entire time in the water, so all the labels would come off, and then you don't know what it is. So what do? We write on the cans what it is. However, we noticed in red light, you cannot read red pen. It just disappears. It's magic ink. But yeah. So you still only see this stuff. So I will hold it up. What you do, however, see is reflective stuff. So I think it's a bit glowing. Yeah, there we go. For you guys here in the room, you can see this is normal reflective, as you would have on your sport clothing or on your shoes very often. Some of our waterproof stuff is also reflective. What you also see glowing, further down the line here, is the stuff that I've actually made for UNICEF as a fundraiser. Those are my little things, and this is where my health and safety obviously comes in, because they're reflective, they're little people. They're reflective, but they're also glowing in the dark. Now, glowing in the dark, I hope when I switch off my light, you should be seeing a few things. Not that much. Okay, I'll make white light. And I put it in front. Simply then it will glow when I switch it off. See? Glow in the dark. Glow in the dark is equally really, really cool on board. I absolutely love glow in the dark. I finally had an excuse to use it. So I put glow in the dark everywhere. On my power bank, really important that you have a power bank because we don't really have much power. It's limited. You don't want to run the batteries empty because otherwise we have to switch the generator on. I'm going to turn the light back on. I'm just looking what it is. My water bottle was glow in the dark sticker. I could always say, can I get the glowing water bottle when I needed to have it passed, which was really nice. And of course, all on our Fowlies, we also have glow in the dark stuff. For me, I always had my watch glow in the dark and a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, now I will turn the lights back on simply so that you can see me fully. Voilà, I can take my head torch off. It's off. Very important piece of equipment. You do not go anywhere without it if you're at night. During the day, obviously, you don't need it. I always kept it in my pocket. Same as with my watch. We obviously did change time zones when we went along so that we kind of had shifts during the day, etc. Okay, so yeah, I mentioned the toilet part because I obviously also went and had a comfort break, which was very nice, very relaxing. You can push on a button and it just goes away. If you're on a boat, not happening. You have to pump and then it's stuck and you're like, oh no. So yeah, it's quite interesting also how much we had to talk about this kind of topics, simply because we're 22 people. So when we started, we were 22 people stuck on a 23-meter boat. That's a lot of people, very little boat, very little space, only 2 toilets, and yeah. I'm now going to switch over to the videos. As I said before, first we're going to do that this way. Where? In the boat. So we do have light inside, but as soon as it's dark outside, we have to have red light inside. And obviously as low as possible, the amount of light, simply because whoever is helming needs to be able to focus on the outside, on the sail, on the stars, etc. And that's why you don't want that much glare. What am I doing first? This is a follow-up from a question that came during the break. I'm going to switch over to the mic I don't have to hold. This mic, let's see. Hello. Can I get this mic again? Yes. Oh, there we go. I have a mic again. So as I mentioned, team coordinator, it was a question about how many people actually can do this or what kind of people are doing this. Because I'm team coordinator, I asked, like I said earlier, the list or a sheet, a template, to regulate my team, to have an overview so I can quickly see how many people do I have on the boat, etc. And then I basically did it as a normal chart. We're all engineers, we've used Excel. This is the entire race, the 11 months, which is brought up into 8 legs. And then you have all the legs, and you can see directly, okay, at that time I have 22 people on the boat. In addition, obviously, we have the people, what legs they're doing. We also, I will zoom out simply because obviously this is private information. Then you can't read it anymore. We also did, because the other question in the break was, do people get along all the time? No. Do people fight? Yes, but not with fists, sometimes with words. Our crew, I think, was okay most of the time. A little bit of, yeah, okay, I don't like the way that he or she is doing it. But we had invested in team building up front, and we all had asked to do a personality test so that we can kind of understand how people tick. And then we also have it on board, a little bit of what the personality traits are. So you can also go online yourself if you're interested. You can go to, I think it's called 16 personalities. You can do it for free, and then you kind of see what color you become if you're, can't remember what they're called, but these are the 4 colors. And then you kind of see, oh, okay, for example, green, I'm part of the green group. are the people who are creative, warm-hearted, people-pleasing. It's great. If you're not green, that's the person who will always say, yeah, I'll do it. But maybe it's good if you also propose, because they will always do it. And eventually they're going to get annoyed by always doing whatever it is, be that cleaning up or whatever. Other people are maybe much directer simply because they are blue, they are calculating, it needs to be like this, like I don't like this being around. So it's important, just as in any team, be that in your SPE student chapter or later on at work, that you know what kind of people you're working with, simply so that you can get an idea why they might be doing something. It's all about knowing who you are and who the people around you are. So that's why we also put it here in the chart. And of course, very important on board, you celebrate whatever you can celebrate. So I also marked all the little pink things here. Let's see if he's going to show my slides again. My slide. It's not showing for the people online, but the people in the room, or the little pink boxes here, B, that's a birthday. And we celebrate those, ideally, of course. So we don't do gifts, but at least we celebrate. We make a cake. We always bake because obviously, again, you don't have a supermarket offshore, so you make everything yourself. Otherwise, it just rots away. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So here the pink ones are cake. Christmas, equally celebrated, everything. Everything that we know. So we also have the nationalities of the people. So that, for example, now we're going to have soon the American Thanksgiving, for example, or now Halloween. I know that they definitely celebrated it. They might bring a few props. So, for example, oh, good layover. Let's see, where's my video folder? We celebrated one very, very big thing. Am I too loud? Is it too? No. You're asking. Perfect. Very good. He just took the mic so that he can ask the questions loud, because I didn't repeat the question. So, because we just talked about birthdays, this was a video, and unfortunately the GoPro, when you turn it on, takes a long time until it's there, and of course then I always miss everything. Can we get a repeat for the GoPro? Say again. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Okay, sorry, I will play again.
Our first birthday at sea, obviously, Caroline had hers just before we left. First one at sea to have a market ticked off, I suppose. Does anyone have anything else they want to mention to the group while we're here?
So this was Oggy's birthday. That was a guy in blue in the back. I'd put up stickers and everything. This was before I turned green. So I took care of everything. Unfortunately, I was very seasick. I knew I was going to be seasick, but I didn't know I was going to be seasick for that long. But yeah, so we always would celebrate at happy hour, which actually was like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, which was when both crews were together. Because remember how we are offshore? There's no other boat around, etc. So we split the 22 people that we originally started out with. We split them into two watches. And then this way we have one watch that's awake and one watch that is theoretically sleeping. Shifts, exactly. So what we did 6 hours during the day and then 4 hours during the night. So if, for example, my watch was starting on the morning shift, we would start at 7 till 1 o'clock. Then we would be off, theoretically, hopefully sleeping. A lot of people didn't manage, from 1 to 7. And then from 7 till 11, we would be back on. Then we would sleep from 11 to 3, theoretically, again. But most of the time, because it was dark, people were okay sleeping during the night. And then from 3 to 7 again, back on shift. And then obviously the next day, we would then first sleep, then work, etc. Or work, be on shift. So that means napping. For me, perfect. I'm a power napper, no problem. A lot of other people had big issues. Couldn't sleep for days or weeks. And the less you sleep, how do you guys become? A bit diva-like, huh? A bit grumpy, a bit Then maybe you didn't get your food, you didn't get enough food. You're sleeping in not your own bunk because you share a bunk. Remember how I said half of the bunks are used for other stuff? I will show you a video of that in a moment. You have a bunk buddy. You hot bunk. So when you're sleeping, your bunk buddy is working. When he's sleeping, you're working. That's why hot bunking. So you also need to get along with your bunk buddy. For example, I had to tell mine off, like, sorry, but no chocolate in the bunk. Because at some point I was like, what is this? We had mattress protectors for the mattresses, just to be sure. Waterproof, just in case something. It was good because at some point we had a leak of a water bottle, so the mattress protector got most of it. Otherwise you're sleeping in a wet bunk. But then I was like, what is that dirty spot there? And I was like, And I saw it was chocolate. And I'm like, really? Just no chocolate in bunk? No, it's not okay. Because where do you wash? You don't have a washing machine. I made a point of getting a bucket that we kept, and I labeled it, and that's why people know that I label everything. I labeled it clean bucket, nothing oily, simply so we had a bucket that we could use for cleaning ourselves or if we had anything. In the beginning, I was, for example, showered by our sun cream dispenser. Everything fell on me, so I had to wash my shorts because I wasn't allowed to wear my shorts otherwise into port. Okay. Something else that we celebrated was the equator crossing, which is a big thing because we became, or we were polywogs before, and then we became shellbacks. So I'm just going to play Neptune with a visit of Neptune. I'm just going to play it forward a bit. So this is Baby. I can't remember what his name is. He's one of the round-the-worlders from Sweden. And he had done the equator crossing before, so he was allowed to initiate us because it's a big thing. Only people who have been initiated before are allowed to be part of the people who are initiating. He also has in his hand leftovers from the last 2 days, I think. It's meant to be something gross. I was happy that we didn't shave a head because I asked my captains where I work with, like, how do you do your Neptune crossing, etc. This is Zina, who is from Finland. She's also going around the world. And she is here doing Aphrodite, apparently. Aphrodite is also part of the crew. So we are all lining up here on the side somewhere. And then we wait for the entrance of Neptune, which is, in this case, our skipper. And then the show will begin. Obviously, the whole speech and etc. We also got certificates. I sent mine home, so I don't have it with me. But yeah, there's a whole ceremony. Apparently now I'm allowed to have a tattoo with a turtle. I'm not getting any, but I have my turtle on my sticker. But yeah, there are in the olden days from maritime industry, there are a lot of tattoos that are combined to this. And there goes, ta-da, our Neptune. So this is our skipper, who's clearly not used to having long hair. He's struggling a bit with the long hair. And as you can see, we always wear life jackets. In case you didn't notice that yet, we always have to. As soon as we come out of the companionway, as soon as the shoulders are out of the companionway, you have to wear the life jacket. Even if it's dead flat, you have to wear a life jacket. You also have to, at every time, have you see the orange and blue straps in the bottom? It's your lifeline. You have to have that on. If it is above 15 knots, true wind, we need to also clip on. And you can never change your clips without being clipped on. So you have one that's permanently attached to you that has also a little buffer, just like any that you would have on the normal harness, because your life jacket serves as a harness here. And you have a short one that's fixed and a longer one that is stretchy if you want, and then you always clip on one, the other, one, the other. You also never take anybody off. That again is practiced and drilled in training. So everybody is very much like, if you want somebody, or if somebody asks you, can you unclip me, you make sure that they're clipped on first. So Charlie is the youngest one. He's also going around the world. He's 26. And maybe just so that you know, Zina, for example, is, I don't really know what she does. She used to work for Lego, for example, higher level. She did the fabric of the toys. The other guy who was before, definitely, I think, is director or company, high executive, whatever. Charlie is an engineer. I think he works in a cheese factory of his parents. So he brought some cheese as well. So George is equally a circumnavigator. 28, I think. So he would read out a sin. Can't remember what I supposedly did. I didn't. Oh, we had a, I know. He accused me of putting the, what was it? The cream. For some dessert, we had cream in Tetra Paks, but unfortunately it exploded. Cream in heat stinks, absolutely reeks. It went everywhere. It took a few days until we found it because all the food is being kept in dry bags. So this is a dry bag, which was my day bag. But all the food, we would have bigger bags for each day so that you know exactly what food you're going to use that day. And yeah, it took a few days until we found it because everybody else apparently didn't have a very sensitive nose like me. And they were like, no, we can't smell. And I was like, it stinks from somewhere. And I was still being seasick. And I was like, it stinks, it needs to stop. Eventually we found it. But unfortunately, some of the cream had gone in the bilges. So the bilges is the bottom of the boat, which we have floorboards on top. And then where it flushes around in there, and then it stinks everywhere. And I was like, oh. So yeah, that was my being accused of. I accepted it because obviously I wanted to get baptized or whatever you call it. But yeah, so we all ate a little bit of that yesterday's food. Of course, it was fine. It was just kept. And then we go under the line, the traveler in this case, and we go to the baby, and he puts a bucket of water over us, and then we are baptized. And then we officially became shellbacks. So now we are allowed to have theoretically that shellback turtle tattoo. Again, I'm going for a necklace or something. Just to again reiterate, because the question was earlier also, like, who can do this? She, for example, is a doctor. She is a doctor from Austria, and is doing normally like mountain and emergency medicine kind of. She also teaches at some universities that she studied before. Yeah, so we have a little bit of everything. Then you have a few people who are retired because of who has time or the money to do it. Time for me, for example, was because I'm on rotation, so it was easy. And because I don't live anywhere except for my free home. But also because I save enough money, I was able to do this. But this gives you an idea of what we celebrate and how we celebrate. So it doesn't matter, as you can see, we were still following all the safety procedures. We still had our life jackets on. We still were clipped on because it was too inclined, etc. You could see nicely how the boat was heeled over. Yeah. You have a question. Is it on? Let's see. There we go.
It should be quick. I was just wondering, has it ever happened that someone was found dead a day later or something like that? I believe yesterday or the day before in Brazil, we had a flight coming in from New York, I believe, and the passenger was found dead, like an hour after the flight had departed from the airport in the USA. I was just wondering, has it ever happened in a situation similar to this?
Found dead? No.
Or killed?
Have people died? Yes. Killed, I wouldn't say, simply because killed means somebody else has an impact. I wouldn't call the ocean a killer. It is, definitely, but yeah. In total, over the duration of all the Clipper races, so this has been going on, I think, over 20 years, 3 people lost their lives. It is a dangerous place. Again, we talked about this during the break. It is definitely a dangerous place, and that's why it's so strict on what you can and what you can't do. One of the rules, for example, when you see loading a winch, let's see, I had a video. I'm going to play this one. I think we're going to see somebody load a winch. Yeah, thank you. Is that always pinkies first? Pinkies means the pinky finger, little fingers first when you load a winch, simply because if you do it other way around, it's very easy for you to get your hand drawn in and you can't let go. Whereas if you have pinkies first, automatically it's down. There you see that he always has the pinkies first, yeah. Pinkies first, second hand should equally be pinkies first. But simply because a lot can happen. So another question from the break, clearly there were loads of questions in the break. I did tell them they should have asked them now. But I tried to remember all of them. Were there any injuries? Yes, absolutely, unfortunately. We called ourselves at the end of this leg 1, so 2 races, the big blue ambulance, because we kept on having injuries and we were like, what is going on? So unfortunately, I was actually one of the first ones in the Bay of Biscay, and now that's the time where I'm going to switch over to the race viewer. So, warning, this is a disclaimer I have to do. This is highly addictive. This will last for another 10 months. There's a race viewer that you can watch. It updates once an hour, apparently 4 minutes past the hour. I've managed so far not to get addicted, but that's also because I'm traveling, so hopefully that will remain like this. I've currently put it back to race 1, but if you wanted to see the actual current live race viewer, you can go, there would be a race 3 here. Oh, sorry, yeah, well, anyway, I would show you again. Oh, it's here. Race viewer, link, open. This is the live one. So currently, this is what's happening. This is where the boats are. Remember how I said there's a back office? This is one part of the back office. So, like I said, today I know that Dare to Lead arrived. Let's see if I can get into this. Whoop. And I think another one, I think Dare to Lead and Perseverance, oh, there we go. They both finished. And the other boats are still further back. So who's this? I can also add labels. That's Punta del Este, Zhuhai, and where's UNICEF? UNICEF is here. However, I saw, because, again, highly addictive, we have 1 million WhatsApp groups. One of the WhatsApp group is with all the supporters. Coming back to the question, see so many questions in the break. Loads of people have partners, wives, husbands, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, at home, family. All of those supporters are basically part of the race as well, because we have a supporter group for them. They were also invited to come to the crew allocation. They are fully part of it, because without the supporters, the same way as when we go out to the rigs or to anywhere to work, without our family at home, we wouldn't be there. Some people are doing it for them. Some people are doing it because of them, because they have them in the background, because they have that support. So supporters or families at home are super important. So one of the groups that I'm now officially part of a supporter, where is it? Here. Was saying that apparently there's a wind hole. So one of the nice features, you can add the day and nighttime, but you can also adjust the winds. No, can't adjust the winds, but you can see the winds. So you can see how it's very, very slow moving here. Very slow, so apparently going to take them a while to get there. If I zoom out again, you can see that where it's green, it's faster. So they actually are moving a lot faster. They have, where is it? Distance to speed. They are doing 10 knots, whereas UNICEF at the moment is only doing 2.7 knots. So not a lot. That's basically nothing. It's like try to blow. Talking about no wind, as I said, please interrupt me. This part of the presentation is completely free flow, as everything else, but I have a nice video of what we try to do. That's why it's called the wind dance. Let's see. Oop. This is what we try to do. This is the morning, because supposedly it had worked the day before. So I asked this guy who's steward, can't remember what he does. Oh, he's an architect. There we go. He's an architect, and supposedly he had done that wind dance the day before, and it worked. We had wind. So we're like, okay, we need wind again. You do whatever it takes. Whatever might work, you do it. Obviously, it's for fun. But yeah. So that's a nice thing. You have a camera holder at the back in the A-frame, so that you can also, for example, video all kinds of stuff on board. And there it's also a good position. You can see that we have 2 helms. So it's nicer when you're at an angle, you can actually be on the high side or on the low side, if that's better to actually see the sail behind it. So yeah. I wanted to go back to the race view. That's this one. Go back to this one. So, my race. My race, 1 leg, 2 races. So the first race was race 1 from, let's see, is it, no, from, come on, play. From Portsmouth, south, is it playing? Where are the boats? Oh, it's already finished here. So we started, we started with basically no wind in Portsmouth. And then there's why the boats are going separate ways here is because there's a marine traffic zone. And you had to avoid that. So a few boats went north, 2 boats went north, and a few other boats went south. So obviously that is already a tactic. We also per race have 1 12 or 24 hours period that we can go into stealth mode, so we are hidden from everybody else, so nobody can see where we are and what we're possibly doing. Every time that you see the zigzagging, that means we're basically trying to sail against the wind, and that's why we're attacking. All these long parts here, we probably were in front of the wind, or the wind from the side, so that we had nice sails and we were going with. That leg is called the trade winds leg. So normally it should all be with spinnaker. I can tell you this Bay of Biscay up here. If I go back. There. This is the Bay of Biscay. In addition, we have scoring gates so that it can incentivize people to go a different way off the normal track. And the first 3 boats get additional points if they go to that gate, if the first 3 ones going through. Now, the Bay of Biscay was quite rough. As you can see, some wiggles, etc. This is, coming back to the injuries, for example, where I got my injury. So the boat was making a huge, massive motion. I thought the boat was ripping apart, but nobody else was afraid, so I was like, okay, must be okay. And that's where I got slammed against the wall with the backside. So basically, my bum hurt for about 3 weeks, which is really annoying. Because I didn't know exactly how it was, I actually, when we arrived in Puerto Sherry, I went to the hospital to have it checked out, because we don't have a medic or anything. Let's say we do have a medical professional on board, but no x-ray. So just because I knew obviously the next leg or the next race was going to be 4 weeks at sea, if I would have had a proper injury, not just is it my health that is at risk, but obviously it's also a liability towards everybody else on the boat, right? And that's why I had it checked out. Luckily, not sure how good they were doing the checks, but supposedly I didn't have anything. Now I'm fine, so it must have been okay. But yeah. We had, I think, one more guy who unfortunately had similar. He unfortunately was, however, a bit older, a bit more fragile, and he had to be taken off the boat at the end. But saying that, because he was bedbound, he wasn't allowed to come on deck, we then live streamed from below. Oh, you can't hear. So I'm holding his GoPro, and he's live streaming to his bank. That's the other boat that we are chasing, that I'm pointing at. It's on the horizon there. Yes, we are tilted. Heeled over. And this is Ziv in his bunk, and he's watching the live stream. So again, be creative. Just because something happened doesn't mean that it stops everything. Be creative about it. Same way I use it, because I'm like, well, we have cameras in the wells. We do stuff remotely. It works, and that's why I made it happen. Now, remind me again, how much time do we have? Because on my watch it's 59, and I think 10 minutes. Okay, perfect. Just checking, not that I'm going over. Trying to think which one I'm going to show you. Back to the race viewer. Now race 2, because this is so nice. It's a lot easier to show. Zoop.
Can I ask something?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, please.
Even when you're against the wind, you can sail forward, doing that zigzag thing?
Yes,
okay.
Because basically you have a 90-degree angle of exactly coming from the wind, 45 degrees each side of exactly from the wind, that you can't sail in, right? But everything after that you can sail. So if I'm looking at my notes here, the wet notes, they also have the wind, and basically everything that is colored is sailable. You adjust the sails. Only this part here you can't sail, and that's why you tack. You go through the wind and you tack. But it takes a lot more effort. So when you're high or closed hauled, your boat is very, very much inclined, and you have the sails as close as possible. Whereas if you're in front of the wind, you have the sails wide open, so it kind of blows it, and that means that your boat is more or less also level, which is quite nice. Or a little bit heeling over, but not that much. Yeah. So race 2, as I said, we started in the Bay of Cadiz in Spain, and then let's see if we can zoom in a bit. These are the, what do you call them? Thank you, Canary Islands. We passed through those, from what I remember. We had the blue boat. We had the blue boat here, UNICEF, which was nice. We were mid-pack. That was great. And then we decided to go a bit closer, etc. And then see that island pack here? That's the Cape Verde Islands. Well, unfortunately, you will see that two of the boats, that's UNICEF and Bekezela, we had to actually stop for a few hours in the Cape Verde Islands because we had a medical issue. So on our boat, one of the guys, unfortunately, had a medical condition that reappeared. And it was so bad that he needed to, see how we stop, and we do circles and we do whatever. And then 3 hours later, we were only in port 3 hours, we got him off to a hospital. He then flew out, I think, maybe a few days later. The other boat that had to stop, I think they stopped 10 hours because they had somebody who had gotten a sheet, so a line in their eye, and therefore, obviously, eyes are important, you need them. And that's why she got taken off. And then we continued racing. We just continued. And then you will see we are slowing down. So this is a doldrums. We're all wiggling. We are actually motoring because in a previous race edition, they were stuck for 10 days in the doldrums where there is no wind. That's why they have now introduced the fact that we can motor through. And then we just keep on sailing. Talking about the doldrums, you obviously need to prepare for the unexpected, right? So in the doldrums, we did loads of stuff. Useless stuff. We had little birds come in. I did my craft. This is me taking the video, so you will see my legs in a moment doing the little people. There, little people. We had a sunroof because it was so hot. You really had to cool down. So me, because I was unfortunately then also a bit heat sick. I was weighing non-stop long clothing, so I didn't have to put cream on. But also this way I could take a bucket of salt water and just keep myself cool this way. But yeah, so sometimes you have little passengers. Or we also had a birthday. So we actually... Oh, come on. Why is it not playing? Why is it not playing it? There we go. They created mini golf. They had the idea of creating mini golf, so they brought a few golf balls, made a parkour, and I can tell you, mini golf on a boat is not that easy because even though we're just motoring and it's super flat around, but the boat keeps still moving, so you can see how everybody is a bit tilting. So we kept ourselves entertained. Didn't work, but yeah. And then not just about the sailing and so on, but you also get prizes for other stuff. So this is a little flag that you got for the race one, where we were third place, which was great. But I also wanted to see if we can possibly because if you don't play the game, you can't win the game. So we wanted to see if we could get the media prize. The media prize, what we submitted, but unfortunately we didn't win. I had an idea one night. Again, you have many, many hours. In total, I spent, where was it? We were 39 days at sea in total. We did a total of 7,411 miles, nautical miles. And spent, what is that? On the race 2, so the long crossing, 174 hours night shift, approximately. What was I going to show you? Storms. Oh, storms. So yeah, we had many storms in the doldrums. Again, you have completely flat, and then you can see the storm roll in, the big fat black cloud come in, which is great because then the first thing you do, shampoo out, because it's finally fresh water, it's not salt water. This is great. And you get everybody. Obviously, if you wash yourself, you still have your life jacket on, obviously, because you don't want to annoy other people by whatever you look like. You still keep at least your underwear on. But yeah, we had a lot of people running around washing their hair finally after 2 weeks, which was really nice. Oh, washing. Since I have so much stuff on my table here, I want to use it. So one thing that you can wash yourself with also, baby wipes. Perfect. However, a lot of waste again. They don't go overboard unless you pay the expensive ones. But at least you can wash your salt off, because it's really annoying if you have salt everywhere. And you might actually get rashes from your salt. Another thing that I didn't know, because nobody ever told me in training, I normally spray deodorant, which I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to smell nice and I can smell myself. And then I was told, like, oh, no spray, no aerosols, because some people might have asthma or whatever, and obviously you're all living in the same boat. So no aerosols below deck. Use a stick. I was like, great, okay. Talking about hygiene, since we are drifting, but it doesn't matter. Pseudocream is an antibacterial cream, healing cream, which is also used for nappy rash, babies when they have wet skin. Unfortunately, sailors do get a lot of wet skin. It's called boat bum. It's really gross. I didn't get it. I'm very proud of it. But because you're sat down on a wet surface so long and your skin is so wet so long, it might become an issue. And it was funny because I think the last week or so, at some point, the AQP, she was like, okay, guys, we need to talk about boat bum. Because so many people had then, unfortunately, issues. And came to her like, oh yeah, I'm not feeling very well, and so yeah, it's stuff you talk about everything just because, well, you're stuck there. What did help for boat bum was apparently, I heard it from another boat, using merino. So again, looking at the technological aspect of it, merino wool is a fabric that, first of all, it doesn't stink, because wool cannot take in the bacteria that creates a stink. And therefore you can just air it out. So I would have, for example, I would always have a headband to keep the hair in place, not to have all the hair always in my mouth, but also to keep the sweat in the band. And you just dry it out and it was fine. Obviously you wash it if you can, but merino is definitely one of the things that we all switch. So we had all of our clothing was merino because it dries off quick and it transport the thing. I wanted to go to the fun stuff, which is back to...
I mean, if you could shorten the video out, it would do a great TikTok video, you know. Don't you have an account?
It is on YouTube. Saying that,
Oh, okay.
this is the final, basically. Obviously, you can see I have loads to show, but I think this is perfect time. Where's my website? You can go, if you are interested to following more of the Big Blue Clipper Boat, aka UNICEF. You can go to thebigblueclipperboat.com, and you can find message in a bottle that we've done to basically spread messages from kids everywhere that we pass on. We have a virtual bottle, and then you can leave a message and say whatever. You can also look at the gallery, and there's the videos. So this video, for example, is also there. Because obviously we took on the responsibility of being Team UNICEF quite literally, and we're very much trying to get for every child the message across. So yeah, and this is basically the whole thing about company pride, or in this case team pride, making the most of it, even if you don't get along and whatever, if you have a same mission, if you want, be that the adventure, be that the sailing, or be that doing something good for UNICEF in addition. That's quite something. So I hope I've answered some of the questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we got one more.
Oh, we have more questions.
All right. It's coming from YouTube. Nayana Campos questioned. She said, "Would you like to know? I would like to know if you have any hope. I would like to know what you hope for the future of your career and what you expect from the industry in the future."
So for me, I hope that I continue to work on rotation. It's not a big ambition, I know. But simply because for me, it's not really important what the job title is, but more that I have an impact, that I'm useful and that I can change things. So that's why I really enjoy working, for example, at the moment with our fleet at work, and I can progress. Hope for the industry for the future, what I think it looks like.
Yes.
It looks very different for you guys here in Brazil because you have loads of oil. Again, we talked about this during the break. In Europe, it's a big energy transition. We even were struggling with just identifying as Society of Petroleum Engineers, simply because petroleum engineers don't really have a place other than the North Sea, let's say. But otherwise in Europe, it's not that well regarded. It's like, what do you want? No, oil and gas. And so I would hope that people would understand that we have loads to give as petroleum engineers. You saw lots of comparison that I took obviously here to the maritime industry if you want, but we have so many transferable skills. So I would hope that that would develop more, and that other industries, be it offshore wind or other energy branches, actually also look at our industry and see what we have learned from it. We have so much experience, maybe very specific to oil and gas, but there's so much transfer to be able, being possible to be made.
Awesome. Yeah. So I believe with that we close the presentation today.
Very good.
So we wanted to thank everyone who has watched it until now. It was a pleasure to have you here today, Caroline, and everyone live on YouTube. So I believe with that we're closing the live stream right now, and just about any second. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. Say again. No. Unless you hit something, the boat is not going to sink. Originally the fleet was 12. One boat stranded. But they got too close to shore. Oh yeah, can we get